It all started a few months ago when my sister-in-law, Sam, took my 12-year-old daughter Emma to a pride rally, without even asking me first. At first, I wasn't angry about it. Sam and I have always been close, and Emma absolutely adores her aunt. Sam's always been open about being a lesbian, and I've never had a problem with that. She has a girlfriend, Chloe, who's sweet and kind, and Emma enjoys spending time with both of them. So, when I found out Emma went to the rally, I just told myself it was fine. It's good for her to learn about the world and see people standing up for who they are. I honestly didn't think much of it. But a few days later, Emma started asking questions she had never asked before. Things like, "Mom, how do transgender people know who they really want to be, and why do some people hate them?" I remember sitting with her in the kitchen while she asked me these things, her eyes full of genuine curiosity. I tried my best to answer her in a way she could understand. I told her that sometimes people feel different on the inside than how they look on the outside, and that everyone deserves to be respected no matter what. She nodded along, listening carefully, and I thought that was the end of it. I figured she was just curious after going to the rally with Sam and Chloe. Kids ask questions, that's how they learn. But what I didn't know at the time was that this was just the beginning of something much bigger. After that day, Emma's curiosity didn't just fade away, it actually grew stronger. She started questioning more and more about things she had never even thought about before. At first, it was small stuff. She'd ask things like, "Mom, what if I don't like wearing dresses? Does that mean I'm not really a girl? Or, can someone just wake up one day and realize they're supposed to be a boy?" I tried to stay patient and calm every time. I'd tell her that not liking dresses doesn't change who she is, and that growing up means exploring who you are, but there's no rush to figure everything out right now. But as the days went by, the questions started to change. They became sharper, more uncomfortable. She'd ask, "Why do people think being straight is normal?" Or, "Why do parents force their kids to be something they're not?" One evening, during dinner, she even asked, "Mom, would you still love me if I wasn't a girl?" And of course I told her yes, that I'd love her no matter what. But something about the way she said it, the tone in her voice, it made me realize this was more than just curiosity. Even my husband, David, started noticing it. He looked at me one night after Emma had gone to bed and said, "She's been asking a lot of strange questions lately, huh?" I told him I'd noticed it too, and that she always seemed to come home with new questions after visiting Sam. Every time she spent a weekend there, she'd come back with a different attitude, a new opinion, and more things she suddenly wanted to talk about. I told David I was starting to feel uneasy, that maybe Sam was talking to her about things she wasn't ready to understand yet. But David just shook his head and told me I was overthinking it. "She's just curious, Ratch," he said. "She went to that pride rally, saw a lot of new things, maybe it opened her mind a bit. But Sam would never put stuff like that in her head." I wanted to believe him. I really did. But deep down, something didn't feel right. Then, one evening, everything changed. We were sitting together at the dinner table, me, David, Emma, and our 16-year-old son, Lucas. It was a normal weekday evening. I had just finished serving dinner, everyone was chatting about school and work, and for once, everything felt peaceful. But right in the middle of it all, Emma put down her fork and looked straight at us. Her voice was calm, almost too calm. She said, "Mom, Dad, I need to tell you something." I remember the way my heart dropped when she said that. Then she took a breath and said, "I'm not a girl. I'm a boy. I've always been a boy." The room went completely silent. For a few seconds, I honestly thought I misheard her. Lucas was the first to react. He laughed a little and said, "Oh come on, Emma, are you serious right now?" He thought she was joking, like it was some kind of dare or prank. But Emma didn't smile. She didn't even blink. She just looked at us, her eyes filled with something I couldn't quite read, maybe confusion, maybe fear, or maybe just a desperate need to be believed. David stared at her, stunned, not knowing what to say. I could feel my hand shaking under the table. My mind was spinning. This was my 12-year-old little girl, the same one who still watched cartoons and slept with her stuffed animals when she couldn't sleep. I didn't want to say the wrong thing, so I just asked gently, "Sweetheart, what do you mean?" She replied, "I mean I don't want to be called a girl anymore. I want to be a boy. I want you to call me he." The words hit me like a wave I wasn't ready for. Lucas stopped laughing, realizing she was serious. David just sat there, looking completely lost. The rest of dinner was silent. Nobody touched their food. I remember just staring at Emma, my little girl, wondering how everything changed so suddenly. That night, after the kids went to their rooms, David and I sat in the living room for hours, trying to process what had just happened. He said maybe it was a phase, maybe she was just confused. But I couldn't stop thinking about it, about how confident she sounded when she said it, and how this all started after that pride rally. I knew I had to talk to her, but I also knew it wasn't going to be easy. That night after the dinner incident, I couldn't sleep. I just lay there staring at the ceiling, feeling my chest tighten every time I replayed Emma's words, "I'm a boy. I want to be called he." It wasn't anger I felt, it was fear. Fear of losing my little girl to something I didn't fully understand. Fear that she was being pulled in a direction she wasn't ready for. I wasn't against anyone being gay, trans, or anything in between. I've always believed people deserve to live the life that makes them happy. But Emma was only 12. Still a child. Still figuring out what she liked, what made her laugh, what scared her. Kids at that age go through a storm of emotions. One day they want to be an astronaut, the next they want to dye their hair pink. They feel deeply, but they don't always understand what those feelings mean. And that's what scared me most. So, a few evenings later, I decided to sit down and talk to her, really talk. No judgment, no anger. Just a mother trying to understand her child. The sun was setting outside, painting the living room in shades of orange and gold. Emma was sitting on the couch, curled up with her tablet. I sat beside her and said softly, "Hey, sweetheart. Can we talk for a bit?" She looked nervous, her small hands fidgeting with the edge of her hoodie. "Am I in trouble?" she asked quietly. I shook my head. "No, not at all. I just want to understand what's going on with you." For a moment, she didn't speak. Then she whispered, "You're mad at me, aren't you?" That broke my heart. I reached out and took her hand. "No, honey. I'm not mad. I just want to make sure you're okay. You told us you're a boy, and that's a big thing to say. Can you tell me how you know that? When did you start feeling this way?" Emma bit her lip, thinking. "After Aunt Sam took me to the Pride rally," she said finally. "Everyone there was so happy. They were proud of who they were. People were cheering for trans kids and calling them brave. I thought it was really cool. I wanted to be brave like them too." I listened, feeling a mix of sadness and understanding. "So you felt inspired?" I asked. She nodded. "Yeah. And when I came back, I started watching videos on TikTok and YouTube about kids who changed their pronouns or cut their hair short. They all seemed so happy after it. I thought maybe that's who I am too." I took a deep breath. "Sweetheart, it's okay to admire people who are brave and confident. But you don't have to change who you are to be special or strong. You're already brave, you just don't see it yet." She looked at me for a long moment, her eyes softening a little. "But, Mom, I don't feel like a girl," she whispered. I smiled gently. "You don't have to. It's okay if you don't like dresses, or if you like short hair, or want to hang out with the boys instead of the girls. That doesn't change your worth or who you are. You can express yourself however you want, I'll support you." She looked relieved at first. Then, almost shyly, she said, "Okay, but I still want everyone to call me he from now on." Those words hit harder than I expected. My throat tightened. I reached for her again and said quietly, "Honey, listen to me. You can dress like a boy, you can live like one if that makes you comfortable, but changing your entire identity right now, that's a really big decision. You're still so young. You've got so much growing and learning ahead of you." I explained to her that she was about to go through her teenage years, that her body, hormones, and emotions would all change. "You might feel differently later," I told her. "And if, when you're older, when you're an adult, you still feel this way, then you can make that decision for yourself. And I'll be right there with you, every step of the way." For a long moment, she was quiet. Then she nodded slowly, her eyes starting to fill with tears. "So, it's okay if I act like a boy now, but I'll wait until I'm older to change anything?" I smiled and pulled her into my arms. "Exactly. You can be whoever you want to be, but let's not rush it. You have all the time in the world to figure yourself out." She hugged me back tightly, resting her head on my shoulder. "Okay, Mom," she whispered. "I think I get it now. I'll just be me for now." For the first time in weeks, I felt my chest loosen. Relief washed over me. Maybe she just needed reassurance, to know that she was loved and accepted no matter what. That night, when I tucked her into bed, she smiled and said softly, "Good night, Mom. I love you." And for a brief moment, I believed everything was going to be okay. For a few weeks, life slowly began to settle again. Emma seemed calmer. She still dressed in loose hoodies and sneakers, but she wasn't talking about being a boy anymore. She'd been helping me in the kitchen, laughing with Lucas, even teasing David during dinner like her old self. I thought maybe things were starting to get back to normal, that our talk had helped her find peace. But peace doesn't stay forever. It rarely does. The next time Emma went to spend the weekend at Sam's house, I felt that familiar knot in my stomach. I didn't want to seem controlling, so I didn't say no, but a small voice inside me whispered that something wasn't right. Sam and I hadn't really talked since the dinner incident. Things between us were polite, but strained, like we were both pretending nothing had changed when everything had. Emma left on Friday afternoon full of excitement, and when she came home on Sunday evening, she wasn't the same girl. She walked into the house, dropped her bag by the door, and barely said a word. There was something in her eyes, distant, defiant, cold. I asked how her weekend went, and she just shrugged. That night during dinner, she pushed her food around her plate, quiet and tense. Then suddenly, she put her fork down and looked straight at me. Her voice was steady but harsh. "Mom," she said, "I don't want to wait anymore." I frowned, confused. "Wait for what, honey?" "For being me," she snapped. "I'm a boy, Mom. I don't want to wait until I'm 21. I want to change my name. I want to start everything now. I want everyone to call me he." The way she said it, with anger instead of fear, sent chills through me. This wasn't my thoughtful, curious girl. This was someone repeating words she'd been told to believe. I tried to stay calm, though my heart was pounding. "Emma," I said softly, "why are you saying this again? We talked about it, remember?" She glared at me, her little face tight with frustration. "Because Aunt Sam said I don't have to wait. She said I should be who I am, right now. She said you're just scared because you don't understand people like us." And just like that, my heart broke again, this time not from sadness, but from fury. I took a deep breath and said quietly, "Go to your room, sweetheart. We'll talk later." As soon as she was gone, I grabbed my phone and called Sam. I didn't even think, I just hit dial. She answered cheerfully, "Hey, Ratch. What's up?" "What's up?" I repeated, my voice trembling with anger. "Sam, what did you tell Emma?" There was a pause. Then she sighed. "Rachel, I didn't tell her anything wrong. I just told her she deserves to live on her own terms. She told me you're making her wait until she's an adult. That's not fair to her." I stood in the kitchen, gripping the counter to keep myself from yelling. "She's 12 years old, Sam. She doesn't even understand what that means yet. You don't get to fill her head with things she's not ready for." Sam's tone sharpened. "You're acting like this is a bad thing. It's not. She's figuring out who she is. You should be proud that she's brave enough to say it." "Brave?" I said bitterly. "She's confused, Sam. She's a kid who just started middle school. One rally, a few TikTok videos, and suddenly she wants to change her whole identity. You think that's bravery? That's pressure." But Sam didn't back down. "You're just scared because you can't control her anymore," she said coldly. "You're teaching her that there's something wrong with who she is." I could feel my throat tighten, tears burning in my eyes. "Don't you dare say that to me," I whispered. "You know me, Sam. I've never been homophobic. I've stood by you since the day you came out. I defended you when your own parents wouldn't speak to you. I never once treated you differently. And now you're calling me close-minded?" She scoffed. "Then prove it. Let Emma be who she is. Stop making excuses about her age. LGBT kids don't need protection from their own parents, they need support." My voice cracked as I tried to hold myself together. "She needs guidance, not influence. She's a child. You're pushing her to make choices she doesn't understand yet, and when she grows up and realizes she was rushed, it'll break her. She needs time to grow, to learn, to be sure." But Sam wouldn't listen. Her voice grew louder, more emotional. "You're wrong. You're just like everyone else who hides behind 'she's too young' to avoid accepting reality. You're scared of what people will think. Stop it." I finally shouted. "You don't get to twist this. You don't get to call me homophobic just because I want my daughter to have a normal childhood before making life-changing decisions." For a second, there was only silence on the line, both of us breathing hard, furious and hurt. Then Sam snapped, "You're a coward, Rachel. You're choosing your comfort over your kid's happiness." And before I could even reply, she hung up. I stood there, frozen, the quiet hum of the refrigerator filling the room. My hand was still shaking around the phone. For years, I had loved Sam like a sister. I supported her when nobody else did. And now she was accusing me of being the very thing I had never been. That night, I sat on my bed, staring at the wall as tears streamed down my face. I wasn't angry anymore, just heartbroken. Heartbroken that someone I loved and trusted could hurt my family this way. And deep down, I had a terrible feeling that this wasn't over yet. After that call, I tried to calm down, but I couldn't sleep that night. Every word Sam said kept echoing in my head. "You're scared. You're a coward. You're choosing your comfort over your kid's happiness." It stung more than I wanted to admit, not because she was right, but because it came from someone I had loved and trusted for so long. The next morning, I told David everything. From Emma's sudden outburst to Sam's words on the phone. At first, he just sat there, silent, jaw clenched, eyes dark with anger. Then, without a word, he stood up, grabbed his jacket, and said, "I'm going to talk to her." I tried to stop him. "David, please, she'll just twist it again. Let's not." But he cut me off. No. She crossed a line. She's confusing our daughter and making you feel guilty for protecting her. I'm not letting that slide. Later that evening, he came home, still furious, his voice tight with frustration. What happened? I asked anxiously. He threw his keys on the counter. She was rude, Rachel. She didn't even try to understand. I told her straight, she's overstepping. And you know what she said? I shook my head slowly. She said I'm the problem. That I'm a homophobic control freak trying to erase Emma's identity. He laughed bitterly, running a hand through his hair. Can you believe that? I told her Emma's 12. She doesn't even know who she wants to be when she grows up, and Sam's pushing her into life-changing decisions like it's a trend. I sighed, my heart heavy. That's exactly what I said. She doesn't listen. David nodded, pacing back and forth. I told her this isn't about rejecting who Emma is, it's about protecting her from making decisions she can't understand yet. I said, if Emma grows up and still feels the same way, we'll stand by her 100%. But not now. Not when she's just a child. He stopped and looked at me, his voice breaking a little. And Sam called me heartless. Said I'm trying to suppress her identity. She wouldn't hear a single word. It's like she's already decided we're the villains in Emma's story. That was the final straw. We sat together at the kitchen table that night, both silent for a long time. The weight of it all hung heavy between us, Sam's betrayal, Emma's confusion, our fear of saying or doing the wrong thing. Finally, David said, we need to set boundaries. Real ones. This can't go on. And I knew he was right. We decided that from that day forward, Sam would no longer be involved in Emma's life. Not until she could respect our role as parents. Before cutting ties, we tried one last conversation, one last attempt to make her understand. We met her at a cafe the next morning. The moment she sat down, the tension was thick. Sam crossed her arms, defensive already. Sam, I began softly, we love you. But this has gone too far. You can't talk to Emma about these things anymore. She's not ready for that. Sam rolled her eyes. You both sound like conservatives from the 1950s. She is ready, you just don't want her to be. David leaned forward, calm but firm. No, Sam. We're her parents. We'll let Emma be whoever she wants when she's grown and can make that choice with full understanding. But changing her whole identity at 12? That's not acceptance, that's negligence. She shook her head, scoffing. You're just scared of her being different. You can't accept that she's not the little girl you wanted. That hit a nerve. I clenched my fists under the table. You have no right to say that, I said sharply. Emma is our daughter. We know her. We've raised her. You see her for a few weekends and suddenly think you understand her better than we do. But Sam didn't stop. You're both just delaying the inevitable. The longer you make her wait, the more you'll damage her. What if she starts to hate herself because of you? I leaned in, tears brimming in my eyes. And what if she hates herself because we rushed her? What if she changes everything now, her name, her body, her identity, and regrets it later? What if she grows up and says, why didn't you stop me? Would you take responsibility for that, Sam? For a moment, Sam didn't answer. She looked away, lips pressed tight. Then she said, she won't regret being who she is. I exhaled slowly, shaking my head. You're not listening. This isn't about love or acceptance. It's about timing. About maturity. Emma can love whoever she wants. She can dress however she wants. But she will not legally or socially change her identity until she's an adult. That's our decision, as her parents. David's voice hardened. And if you can't respect that, Sam, then you don't get to be around her. Not until you understand that we're doing what's best for our child. The cafe fell silent. Sam's expression shifted, part shock, part anger, part disbelief. So that's it, she said finally. You're cutting me out because I care about your kid? No, I said quietly. We're cutting you out because you stopped respecting us as her parents. We stood up to leave, and I'll never forget the way Sam looked at us, hurt, betrayed, and furious all at once. But I knew deep down it was the right decision. That night, David held me as I cried. Losing Sam, my best friend, my sister, felt like losing a part of myself. But when I checked on Emma, sleeping peacefully in her room, I knew we'd done the right thing. Sometimes, love means saying no, even when it breaks your heart. After the confrontation with Sam, things in our home felt tense and quiet for a few days. Emma didn't talk much. She stayed in her room most of the time, sketching, writing, or scrolling on her tablet. David and I gave her space, but I could tell she was upset, not just confused, but torn. Finally, one evening, David and I sat together and agreed that it was time to talk. A real talk, not arguments, not warnings, but an honest heart-to-heart. We called Emma into the living room. She came slowly, shoulders hunched, eyes cautious. She sat down across from us, silent. I started gently, "Sweetheart, we just want to talk. No one's angry, okay? We love you more than anything, and that will never change, no matter what you feel or who you want to be." David nodded beside me. "You'll always be our child, Em. That's not going anywhere. But, we need to make sure you understand a few things before you make any big decisions." Emma didn't say anything, just stared at the floor. I continued softly, "We know things have been confusing lately. And we know Sam's been talking to you a lot. But we want you to hear things from us. Because we're your parents, and our only job in this world is to protect you, even if sometimes it makes us look like the bad guys." That got her attention. She looked up, her eyes watering. "You think I'm too young to know who I am?" David took her hand gently. "No, sweetheart. We think you're still becoming who you are. And that's okay. You're 12. Your mind and your heart are still growing, still exploring. It's like trying to finish a puzzle before you've even found all the pieces." I nodded. "We're not against you feeling this way, honey. We're not against anyone being trans, or gay, or whoever they truly are. You know your Aunt Sam, we've always loved her and accepted her, right?" Emma nodded slowly. "So it's not about being against anyone. It's about making sure you understand what you're feeling before making choices that can't be undone. Some decisions take time, and you deserve that time." David added softly, "You'll go through so many changes in the next few years, Em. Your body, your emotions, even how you see the world, everything's going to shift. And we don't want you to feel rushed into something just because someone else told you it's the answer." There was a long silence. Then I asked quietly, "Sweetheart, can we ask you something? When you were at Aunt Sam's house, what did she tell you?" Emma hesitated. Her face turned red, and she looked down again. "Nothing," she whispered. "Emma," I said softly but firmly, "we're not here to punish you. We just want the truth. Please." She fidgeted with her hands, then finally said in a small voice, "Aunt Sam said that living as a boy is easier, that people take boys more seriously. She said I'd be happier if I stopped trying to be something I'm not." My heart broke hearing that. David's jaw tightened, but he stayed quiet, letting her continue. "She also said you and Dad don't really accept me. That you're just pretending. That's why you won't let me change my name or pronouns. She said if I was really loved, you'd let me be who I want to be." I felt tears burning in my eyes. "Oh, sweetheart, that's not true," I whispered, reaching out and holding her hands. "That's not true at all. We love you more than anything. We'd never stop loving you for how you feel. But what Aunt Sam said was wrong. She shouldn't have told you those things." David spoke next, calm but firm. "Emma, Aunt Sam is an adult, but that doesn't mean she's always right. Sometimes people let their emotions control what they say. And she might have thought she was helping you, but she wasn't. She confused you instead." Emma sniffled, tears starting to fall. "So, she lied?" "She didn't tell the truth," I said carefully. "She told you her opinion. But opinions aren't always facts. She made it sound like being a boy would make your life easier, but that's not how it works. Being anyone, boy, girl, or anything else, comes with challenges. What matters is learning who you truly are inside, with time, and not rushing it because someone said it's cool or easier." Emma wiped her face, nodding slightly. "I thought it was cool," she admitted softly. "At first, after the Pride rally, everyone looked so happy, so free. I thought maybe if I was a boy, I could feel that too." Hearing that shattered me and comforted me at the same time. My little girl wasn't broken, she was just searching. Searching for identity, belonging, and acceptance in a world that glorified fast answers. I took her face in my hands and said, "Honey, you will have all the time in the world to find who you are. If, when you turn 18, you still feel this way, we'll stand right beside you. We'll help you through it. We'll love you the same. But until then, we just want you to live, grow, and understand yourself better." David added, "We promise we're not saying no, we're saying not yet. You deserve to know what you truly want before you make such a big decision." Emma nodded slowly. "So, I can still be me?" "Of course," I said. "You can dress however you want, cut your hair however you like, play whatever you enjoy. But for now, let's take the time to figure it all out, together." There was a long silence before Emma whispered, "Okay. I'll wait. I understand." We hugged her tight, the three of us holding onto each other as if we were finally finding our balance again. Before she went to bed, I told her softly, "For a little while, we won't be seeing Aunt Sam, okay? Not until things calm down." She looked hurt but nodded quietly. "Okay, Mom. I get it." After she went upstairs, David and I sat in the living room, exhausted but relieved. For the first time in months, I felt peace, a fragile peace, but peace nonetheless. We had done the right thing. We had protected our daughter, not from her identity, but from being rushed into one she didn't fully understand yet. At that moment, I truly believed the storm had passed. I just didn't know what was still waiting on the horizon. For a little while, life was quiet again. After our long talk, Emma seemed calmer. She was still her thoughtful, quiet self, but something in her had softened. She'd spend evenings reading, drawing in her notebook, or helping me cook dinner. We even laughed together again, real, warm laughter that I hadn't heard in months. David and I thought the worst was finally behind us. But peace, I've learned, doesn't last when someone refuses to let go. It started on a Thursday morning. I was at work when my phone began buzzing relentlessly. First, a message from a friend, "Hey, are you okay? I think Sam posted something about you guys." Then another, "You should check Facebook right now. It's blowing up." My stomach dropped. I opened my social media and froze. Sam had posted a long, emotional statement, 3 paragraphs of half-truths and outright lies. "I can't stay silent anymore," she wrote. "My 12-year-old niece told me she's a boy trapped in a girl's body. Instead of supporting her, her parents have forbidden her from being who she truly is. They're isolating her, controlling her, and emotionally harming her in the name of protection. I'm terrified for her mental health. She deserves love, not shame." Below that, she'd added a picture of Emma, one I'd taken months ago, before all this started. My daughter, smiling sweetly, now being used as a weapon in a war she never asked for. And then the hashtags, #ProtectTransKids, #StopParentalAbuse, #LoveIsLove. She even tagged major LGBTQ+ pages, local activists, and community accounts. Within hours, the post exploded. Hundreds of comments. Dozens of shares. People who didn't even know us were discussing our lives, debating our parenting, labeling us as villains. How disgusting. Poor child, imagine being trapped with parents like that. This is what happens when people refuse to evolve. My hands trembled as I scrolled. My throat felt tight. It was as if someone had ripped open our private lives and thrown them into a public court of strangers. David came home early after I called him, barely able to speak. He read the post once, then shut his eyes and whispered, "She's trying to destroy us." But not everyone bought her version. Some comments pushed back. "We don't know both sides. 12 is too young for any major transition. Posting about your niece's identity publicly? That's not love, that's exploitation. If she really cared about that kid, she wouldn't use her photo for attention." The internet began dividing, some calling Sam brave, others calling her manipulative. But the damage was done. Then, 3 days later, came the real blow. 2 CPS caseworkers arrived at our door early one afternoon. They had that polite but firm tone, holding clipboards, saying they'd received a report claiming Emma was being emotionally mistreated and denied her identity. My heart stopped. I could barely breathe. David, though furious, kept calm. "Of course," he said. "You're welcome to talk to her. Please, ask her anything." They sat with Emma for over an hour in the living room while we waited outside, our hearts pounding with every muffled word. I kept imagining all the things Sam might have told them, twisting the truth, painting us as monsters. When the caseworkers finally came out, one of them smiled kindly. "Mr. and Mrs. Hart," she said, "I want you to know, Emma's a bright, happy girl. She spoke with maturity beyond her age. She told us she feels loved and supported here. There's no sign of neglect or abuse. You have nothing to worry about." I almost burst into tears of relief. They added, "She mentioned that an aunt has been upset lately. It sounds like this might be more of a family misunderstanding than anything serious." When they left, I went straight to Emma and hugged her tight. "What did you tell them, sweetheart?" I asked softly. She shrugged, looking a little nervous. "I just told them the truth, Mom. That you and Dad aren't mean to me. That you always listen. I said Aunt Sam's just mad because you didn't agree with her." David knelt down, taking her hand. "You did good, kiddo. I'm proud of you." That night, we stayed up late, watching as the story kept spreading online. Sam's followers were still arguing, some supporting her, but most beginning to see the cracks. Wait, didn't CPS clear them? So she called CPS on her family for nothing? This woman sounds unhinged. She's manipulating a kid. Disgusting. Then the comments turned sharper. No wonder her own brother cut her off. You don't out a child's identity online. That's not love, that's control. Even her girlfriend eventually commented publicly under Sam's post. "I can't support this anymore. You went too far involving a child. This isn't activism, it's obsession. I'm done." The breakup went public within hours, and Sam's carefully constructed image of being a protective aunt began to crumble. She tried to defend herself, replying to comments, insisting that she was doing what's right, but the more she spoke, the worse it got. People called her manipulative, controlling, attention-seeking. Some even accused her of emotional grooming for trying to influence a child into an identity for her own validation. I didn't comment once. Neither did David. We stayed silent. Because we didn't need to defend ourselves to strangers, we knew who we were. And more importantly, Emma knew who we were. One night, as I tucked her into bed, she looked at me and said quietly, "I told them you're the best mom ever." I smiled, my throat tight with emotion. "Oh, sweetheart," she continued, "I don't know why Aunt Sam did that. But I don't want to talk to her anymore. I just want to stay here with you and Dad." I hugged her close, my heart breaking and healing all at once. "That's okay, honey. You don't have to talk to anyone who makes you feel confused or scared. We're right here." After everything, the house finally felt peaceful again. Not perfect, not the same, but safe. And when I looked at my daughter sleeping that night, I knew we had done the right thing all along. We hadn't rejected her. We had protected her from a world that sometimes mistakes confusion for courage and manipulation for love. It's been months since everything happened, since the storm that almost tore our family apart finally passed. And now, when I look at Emma, I see peace. Real peace. She's happier than she's ever been. Most mornings, she walks downstairs wearing her favorite hoodie and loose jeans, the boy clothes, as she calls them, and sometimes she surprises us by showing up in one of her floral summer dresses, grinning when David compliments her. She loves painting her nails in bright colors but still hates makeup. She says it feels sticky, Lucas always teases, and she rolls her eyes and laughs. She's living life exactly how she wants, freely, without pressure, without confusion. Just a kid being herself. The whole CPS ordeal and the drama that followed left a mark, of course. For a while, she was withdrawn, scared that someone might misunderstand her again. But I wasn't about to let that fear stay. So, we got her into therapy twice a week. Her therapist, Dr. Hayes, became someone she truly trusted, someone who helped her process everything that happened and understand her feelings without rushing them. David and I joined her for family therapy every weekend. Those sessions weren't easy, we cried, we listened, we learned. But they brought us closer. We started talking about things we never did before, emotions, identity, pressure, love. We learned to listen more and assume less. And slowly, day by day, Emma healed. She started to laugh louder, smile more, and open up about school and her hobbies again. Her teachers said she was doing amazing, not just in grades but in confidence. Our house finally felt like home again. As for Sam, she did try to reach out a few times. Messages. Emails. Even asked my in-laws to talk to us on her behalf. But I never responded. I'd made my decision, not out of anger, but protection. My in-laws eventually saw everything clearly too. They set their own boundaries with Sam after realizing how far she had gone, how dangerous her influence had been. They still loved her, but they understood she needed distance, and consequences. I don't know if Sam ever truly understood what she did, maybe she still believes she was helping. But we've moved past that. Now, when I watch Emma sitting in the backyard, painting her nails while wearing her hoodie and shorts, her hair tied up in a messy bun, I don't see confusion anymore. I see someone growing. Someone learning who she is, in her own time. And the truth is? I don't know what Emma will decide when she turns 18. Maybe she'll choose to live as a boy. Maybe she'll stay as she is. Maybe she'll fall in love with a boy, or maybe with a girl. The truth is, I don't know, and I don't need to. What I do know is that no matter who she becomes, she won't walk that road alone. She'll have me, David, and Lucas, standing right beside her, loving her every step of the way. Because being her mother isn't about choosing who she should be. It's about reminding her that whoever she chooses to become, she'll always be enough.